Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card, and this one's a very special one. You may well, depending upon when you see this, have seen the day before that I published a very quick sneak peek of a new tarot deck which I've just received from the creator, and he has this tarot deck on Kickstarter at the moment, so it's live on Kickstarter. It is funded, but is obviously moving towards more and more stretch goals and doing very, very well, as it should, because it's a beautiful deck. It's called the Organic Elements Tarot, and the details of the Kickstarter and the connection are in the description box below. And when, as I said in the sort of sneak peek that I filmed, whenever I back a deck on Kickstarter, I always message the creator and ask if I can have permission to use it publicly on my YouTube channel. And he not only graciously agreed to that, but asked if I would like an advance copy that I could potentially showcase it on the channel before the Kickstarter ended. And I was more than delighted to do it. This is a very, very beautiful deck. It's one of the ones that seem to be coming out at the moment that are based on artificial intelligence. And it's really dreamlike and strange, and it appeals to the Scorpio in me, as I said yesterday in the review. And it seems to me to be something that is so beautifully connected with the liminal spaces that I can see it often coming up in my channel when I'm looking at those sort of things. And I thought, well, what do I want to really embody here in doing a reading to show you this deck in action? And that's where I came with the idea of what new vision is arising in you, because it seems to me that the art that's coming out of AI is visionary and different and strange, and it kind of really touches on those areas, the dreamlike state where true creativity, true vision, the new really comes. And I know that many of the people who come to my channel are visionary and are creative and are people who are bringing in the new, bringing in change. I just know it because it comes up so often in the readings. It's so strong in the energy of this collective, and I thought that this collective will really resonate to this deck as much as I have. And so let's do a reading that's really celebrating that, and it's on that topic. So what you see here as part of the choice for each pile, so there'll be three choices, and I'll put down the numbers as I always do, are 3 additional cards. There are a number of additional cards in this deck outside of the normal tarot that I think are really, really interesting, and I show all of these in the sneak peek if you want to go and check it out in more detail. And I felt like that I would ask Spirit to show me which 3 would be part of the choice, and there are 2 others from that. So what I'm getting from this and the 2 others, and I don't know what the 2 others are at this point, will be a bit of a snapshot about what is this new vision, idea, creation, new spiritual growth, whatever it might be, whatever is new is arising in you. I get a combination of that, but it will include the one that is here. And as I said, I asked Spirit to show ones that would be true of whatever the combination is going to be for each. So for pile number 1, we have wish. For pile number 2, we have imagination. And for pile number 3, we have the root, which to me feels like the really solid, the foundation, something new, something really core. So I feel this may pick up energies about something, a deeply held dream that you want to bring into being. I would feel there might be something about how you connect with your imagination in this one, and there might be something about something that is so core to you. Maybe it's been within you forever. Now, as I say, I don't know what the other cards are. We will see when we get there. So if that's not how you choose and you choose by number or something else, that's fine. If you want to go to more than one reading, that's fine as well. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, as always, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So the other cards that you have, and I'm not sure how clearly this is, without being closer, but this is Mother. And this, I think, is a little bit easier to read, is Tribulation. So this is very interesting to me in terms of an energy. You've been drawn to the reading, whether it was because of this card or for some other reason, something about a wish. This is obviously a wish that you have suffered for to some degree, or there has been trouble with to some degree with tribulation there. I think this is something that is not new on that level. But because this is about what is new and what is arising in you, I think there is a new way to birth something in of possibly either an old wish that now you can start to bring into fruition, or it may even be a wish for easier times and better times, and it connects to your nurturing sense with others. So for some of you, this is about, I think, re-emerging from strife and difficulty to bring a long-held dream into being and to be the nurturing parent to that dream. But I think for others of you, this might have some sort of political or social aspect to it, because when I was doing the sneak peek, I talked about tribulation and I said, I think we're all in touch with that particular emotion at the moment. You know, the world is very complex at the moment. It's not an easy environment to be in. There are many challenges, and we will need the visionaries and the people who can see the new and who can dream up the new ways of doing things, because the old ways are not working anymore. We are looking at significant change. So we need the mothering, the nurturing, the caring. For some, it could even be, I'm feeling, around the environment and caring about the earth and Mother Earth and Gaia and the tribulation of the earth and how we could have a wish, a new way of doing things. So I do feel there are two key things that could be for this particular group. It could be that you have a creative dream or vision that did not work or was not fully formed and has come out of a great deal of pain, but you are now ready to birth it into being. Or you have a very strong stewardship sort of feeling here, a kind of nurturing and stewardship thing to take others through change, to bring in a better outcome from what is painful, what is difficult. So as I say, this could work out in a political way, a social cause way. It could be spiritual. It could be that you reconnect people with what they want to create and what they wished for, and you take them out of the shadow. You could take them into the shadow and the tribulation, and then you nurture them back to their wish. So it could be a spiritual thing as well too. But I think it is either a very personal wish, a personal creative project, a personal vision that arose from trouble or has been difficult, but you are bringing it into the world. Or, as I say, you are looking after others. So this is very profound, I think. I think there's a healing, a great healing associated with this energy for you and for what you're bringing into the world. So we want to use the tarot of this deck now, and it does actually include a few of the additional cards as well too that weren't picked up for the choice, but we want to look at this in more detail. So we're going to ask firstly the nature of the new. So this might help us work out whether it's more the stewardship or more the personal creative wish, or it might tell us that it is still a bit of both. But we're just going to get a little bit more detail on that with tarot. The Hierophant, the Eight of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, the Two of Cups reversed, Devil reversed. It's very interesting how those cards fell, because of course, this is just for the sort of balance or the sort of symmetry that I tended to do it. But it really interests me that we have, looking over here, the Two of Cups reversed, which is sort of like on top of the tribulation, and the Devil reversed. I feel like there is this, for many of you, this is about something to do with relationship. Now, as I say, it could be, a dream relationship and it's very personal and creative. It could be also relationship, how we relate to others around political, social causes. But the tribulation has come from a splintering, I think, like a division, something not working. So, as I say, a social cause not working, a group of friends, having a falling out, love relationship having a falling out, or the original sort of emotional impetus, which would have been the Ace of Cups, when it got to the Two of Cups, like it almost not being able to come forward because there was pain associated with whatever this creative thing was, depending upon what it is. And this whole energy is to liberate you from that. And it's possible with the tribulation that it's saying that many of you got quite obsessed with whatever this was. And as I say, it could have been a relationship. It could have been a creative thing. It could also have been a very difficult political or work-related situation, and you were obsessed with it, part one. But that was because you did sense something that had splintered, something that had split, something that wasn't coming into balance. And this is about you freeing that energy, so that over here we've got the Hierophant. There's something about the established order here. So if it is a creative project, then there is something about how you fit into an industry with it. and bringing it to a point where you can, and having with the Eight of Pentacles the skill to do that. So it could be that for some of you, if this was a dream, say to have a novel published, that you've written a couple and they haven't got where you wanted because you were learning your craft as you went. Now you're at a point where the emotional resonance is there with the Queen of Cups. The craft is there, and so there is more of an entry into the world of the industry, for instance. It's just an example. It could also be around a social situation that you now have worked out the skills to bring something more emotional into what might have got a bit calcified as a political or social structure. But you've tried before. It's been hard before, but there's been an aha moment. There's been a learning. There's been a skill development. That's why you're ready to bring the wish in. The Eight of Pentacles is allowing you to manifest the wish. And I find it very interesting that it's a combination here of your emotional acuity. This is the mother. This is the fact that you have the resonance that's necessary. Whatever splintered here, which was emotional in some way, like it was maybe, heated arguments that were emotional in a workplace or around a social cause, or it was your emotional response to, feedback from an industry if it was around something creative you were doing. You really did get caught up in it, but you worked out the way through, and now you have the right emotional response, an authentic emotional response that connects back to your wish and that allows you to mother this, and you have the skill to manifest it. Definitely. And there's something about the powers of the world that are going to allow you to do this now, or allow you might not be the right word. You are ready to be in whatever this milieu is. You are ready. You have the skills and so forth. You've worked out what caused the pain before. So that's really powerful. So let's ask the best way that you can manifest this energy. The World reversed. Ace of Cups reversed. Mystery. Oh, you've got one of the additional cards. Nine of Wands reversed. Okay. One of the things about this poem, and this might have been part of what splintered in the beginning, because it's interesting that we have the Ace of Cups still reversed here. Spirit is saying, and it might be true of anything where you're bringing in the new, actually, this would make a lot of sense, particularly the new into a more established environment, creatively, work-wise, even relationship, even if it's like trying to find a new way to really find love and within more traditional roles, whatever it might be. One of the ways to manifest this is to understand that it's a process and a cycle, and you never fully manifest it. You manifest layers of it, and then you go to the next layer. Because I feel like this is saying that when the Two of Cups, the splintering was thinking maybe there was one single thing, and it is splintered off because it was always going to be more than one thing. And that's where the kind of like getting caught up in the obsession of it happened. Returning back to the concept that there may be one single driving force, but there are numerous ways that this is going to manifest. So, if you're a writer, you might have had one vision for a book, but in the end you might end up with a series, or you might end up with writing more in that genre. If it's a social cause, you could have said, I want to, solve homelessness, for instance. But when you solve homelessness, you realize that there's other things to solve, or even that to solve homelessness, you actually have to splinter that off and solve a whole bunch of other issues as well, and make other sort of connections. And it's being comfortable in the mystery of that, in knowing that part of the point about this wish is not just its fulfillment and its manifestation, but it's the journey to get there, because it's going to be bigger than you thought it was going to be. And so then not ever feeling it's complete. Not ever feeling it's complete. Now, this doesn't mean the constituent elements can't be complete. So if you're a writer, it doesn't mean that you've got to do 50 zillion drafts of everything you write and never finish it. You write your book, get some editing, do what you need to do, get it out there, get on with the next one. So it's not saying that, but it is saying that this is part of a vocation for you, I think. This is part of a calling. And so being happy with the idea that there are many, many layers of this, and that sometimes you'll decide with the Nine of Wands reverse that some of it, like you got it at a certain point, but, it's not quite what you want, and you're going to go back to the drawing board. That's okay, because that's part of the process. That's part of connecting to the mystery. You're highly sort of psychic in the sense of creativity, I think, and it could manifest as a creatively in a purer sense, where it might be around social causes or whatever. And part of that is to understand that the only constant is change. The only constant is change. It's like the Marcus Aurelius saying that this too shall pass. And I think if you can get into that energy, and like mothering, like, you are a child, and then you grow, and then you're a parent, and then you have children, and like there's that sort of sense of the cycles coming here. And the best way that you can manifest this is understanding that you will always be manifesting it at various layers. Okay, so what is the unknown? What in all this beautiful liminal space are you going to discover about yourself, or about what it is that you're manifesting that you don't know yet? Dream. So you've got another of the additional cards. The Moon reversed. The Four of Swords reversed. Wow. You are very psychic, actually. This group is very psychic. But a lot of it's in dream imagery. I probably have all the readings in this particular one. I think you're going to really, really resonate to this deck. You are very comfortable in the liminal spaces. You are very comfortable in dream, and dream and wish are very strongly connected, I think, for you. That you can dream. In your dream state, you can actually start to formulate the wish, and you bring it out. You bring the mystery out. So you're in the mystery here. But the moon, when it's upright, is kind of like the mystery. When it's reversed, it shows that you're going to actually uncover a lot of whatever this is. So say it was, say, a political cause, you're going to uncover a lot that you didn't expect, things that seem mysterious or didn't make sense. You're going to get the keys to the kingdom and see what that is. If it's a creative thing, you're going to find it's a bit like an onion being peeled. Like there's going to be another layer, and you're going to uncover more and more. But what you are going to have to do that you maybe don't fully understand yet is that you can't just stay in the dream state. You do have to bring things out. And this is why I was saying, like, it is saying understand that there'll always be the next layer, the next layer, the next layer. But you do need to bring something out. So, if it's a political cause, you do need to achieve certain things in your program. If it's a social cause, similarly. If it's something in your workplace, you can't just stay in the dreaming state. You actually have to bring your ideas out and articulate them. They may feel very precious. Given that we've got the tribulation, the Two of Cups reversed, and the Ace of Cups, this is very dear to you, whatever it is. This is why you got a bit obsessed with it. But you do need to bring it out. You need. This is meant to be born, and then it is meant to grow, and then it is meant to seed more. It's like if you could use a gardening metaphor or a farming metaphor. You have to plant, you have to harvest, you have to take the produce out, you have to plant, you have to harvest, you have to take the produce out. That's the energy around this. But enormously psychically attuned, and your capacity to manifest once you understand that cycle. It's almost like you've got to always have an eye to the outcome and take things out, but you've always got to also be agnostic about what could come next. And if you can get into that balance, then it is going to operate beautifully for you. So what I want to do is find you some guides on your journey. So we're going to look at a couple of divine animal totems and a couple of sort of goddesses or other sort of like divine feminine archetypes. And then we're going to also look at how the stars would guide you. And then I want to have a look at almost the place or places in the world where this new vision, this new dream could manifest. And it's not necessarily literal. It's probably more figurative and spiritual, but you'll see. And finally, we're going to end up with an archetype that you kind of embody, or this new vision embodies. So let's firstly get a couple of divine animals for you that will help you in this sort of like cyclic dream excavation and manifestation process that we're seeing here. Armadillo, groundedness. So yes, it is important. This is why we've got, I think, the mother, and we've got, particularly the mother, because the mother makes me think of the Empress. So there is a need to ground this energy. You do have to, after all of this liminal space and this psychic stuff and this inspiration, you do actually have to bring some things into being. Armadillo also gives you the armor to deal with if you are in, hostile situations or political situations, or where it has been all full of pain and agony in some way, that to be strong and move on. Then we also have meerkat, responsibility. Yeah. I do think for many of you, there has some sort of a cause associated with it. Now, it could play out as the best way that you could do something about a social cause is to write a novel or do a film or something. It doesn't have to be, like in politics, but there is something where you know that you have to take this thing forward, and you have to bring it into the world, and you have the responsibility. There's something about this that is very you, and only you can do it, pile one. Okay, let's get you a couple of either goddesses or other sort of feminine archetypes to also help with bringing in the new. On top of the mother, because you've already got the mother there. Sulis Minerva. Oh, that's interesting. Water, the Queen of Cups is connecting there. And Artemis. Okay, so I think what we're looking at here, so Minerva here, is a goddess or an energy about life, as it says. It's about nourishment. It's about all those things. It's like this is the harvest metaphor I'm getting. There's something nourishing about what you're going to do. There's something nourishing for you, but for others. This is why it's important. It can't just nourish you. It's meant to nourish others. And it's very emotionally resonant. But that's why it was painful. And it may continue to be painful sometimes, pile one, but it's beautiful as well. And it's very, very clear. Like it's like once you've worked out your intention, Artemis is here to give you that clarity for your goals, for your intention. She's very much of the mind. And it's interesting because there hasn't been a lot of swords energy here. So you're very comfortable in the dreamy, the liminal, the emotional, the realm of the major arcana, the realm of creativity. But Artemis is going to help give you a clarity to take it forward, to know what to do with this. Because I think when so much sort of comes up from that energy, whatever this is that you're doing, she will help you focus that, and she will give you the intellect side of it. She will give you the words. She will make it able to be very, very clear and to make sure that this energy all goes in the direction that you want it to go in, particularly if you are dealing with contentious things or if you're dealing with something creative and then taking it into the sort of like the industry, being able to keep that focus. I think she's there to help you with that. Let's get some energy from the stars as well. Pisces. Yeah, there's a lot of water energy around this, and this is about the psychic stuff as well too. The thing I also get for you is I think that you're very telepathically and connected to the collective unconscious, and I think Pisces is particularly strong sign for that, because I remember an astrologer saying, and I thought it was such an interesting way of looking at it, that Aries is the first sign, Pisces is the last. It kind of means that in the journey around the zodiac, that by the time you get to Pisces, it's almost incorporated everything. It's almost incorporated every sign. And it's why Pisces are often so psychic and so, but also like a little bit hard to completely focus because there's so much in there. So I think that there is sort of something in there that is almost the entry point for the liminal for you. Artemis then I think helps you sort of focus that energy. Mars, yeah, action. Action needs to be taken. Can't just be in the liminal space. And fixed. Okay. And the action helps you deal with the fixed will work for you, and fixed will also be a challenge. I think fixed was a challenge before. I think there was a point in this that you got caught in the pain or the tribulation or whatever it was, whether it was something, as I say, that didn't work out, or it was just that you kind of wallowed in the pain of whatever it is that you were trying to sort. And it did get a little bit with the devil, a bit obsessive, but that's the devil is reversed. You can break out of that. Sometimes you need to be fixed, because if you're too liminal, then you won't bring it into being. I think that this is the balance between action when you act and when you kind of hold your ground. I think that Sulis Minerva will help you around the Pisces sort of energy, and Artemis will help you stay fixed and act when you need to act. So there is something you're meant to do. You do have a responsibility, and you do need that grounded sort of energy and the intellect associated with it, because you're such an absorbent creature for the liminal, as I say. Okay, so speaking of grounding, what I also wanted to do was draw from the Earth Power deck a couple of cards. And this literally could be places that are spiritually or creatively important to you, but otherwise we're really just looking at the energy of this. So it's the energy of how you could bring this into the world. What else can we see about this new vision? So we have the Ganges, so that's India, and we'll have a talk about what this card is saying. And my favorite place, okay. Okay, so the Ganges, India. So sort of like you may have some drawing to India, you may like Indian sort of spirituality, you may come from there, or any of those things could be the case. But the energy around this says, I forgive and do not fear. So you, whatever it was, you can forgive, let it go, like you can move into creating a solution. It says, I accept where I am at this moment, and thus I can flow and grow from here. So yes, anything that has been difficult, you can let it go. You're ready to grow. This is all about growth. And then my favorite place, this is really about, you don't have to be in any particular place to do it. Like whatever this is, whatever you're creating, whatever you're doing, it's not like you have to be in a particular location necessarily. It's more like where you can do this is your favorite location. Because you were born to do this, part one. You were born to bring something in from the liminal. You were born to liberate people from tribulation, or to liberate yourself from tribulation, or to create something new that was like just the beginning of a whole, as I say, series of works and so forth. So it's kind of like your favorite place will be the place where you can do this, where you can create. You are a highly creative person. So really, really powerful energy about, as long as you forgive anything that hasn't worked, and even when there's mistakes you can course correct, you make your vocation, what you're doing, wherever you can do that best, and however you can do that best is your favorite place. Okay, so to finish off the reading, I'm just going to draw one archetype card from the Rose Oracle. And what we're looking at here is just kind of an archetype that you could manifest as a result of this new you, or new vision, or new creation rising in you. The Advocate. That doesn't surprise me. I do think that most of you have a cause. I really do. I think that you're very spiritual, you're very emotional, you're very liminal, but like on another level, injustice drives you crazy. Seeing the pain of others drives you crazy, because I think you're highly empathic. And you're going to be driven in one way to bring this vision, this different way of doing it, to advocate for something, for a better way of living, for the new ways of dealing with each other, for a kinder way of being, all of those sort of things. You're the sort of person that the world needs very much. So I really love the fact that you came to the wish, because I think your wish can come true, Pile 1. And I think in your wish coming true, you'll advocate for and help others. So more power to you, I would say. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed seeing this beautiful new deck in sort of action, and if you are one of the people that comes to my readings that likes decks, that you might check it out on Kickstarter, because it is truly beautiful. But beyond that, I just hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with imagination. Along with that, we have knowledge and oracle. This is really interesting. I think there's a couple of key things that are new that could be arising in you. One could be that you are doing a work of imagination in some way. So you're writing sort of screenplays, writing poetry, any form of art, or even things that you imagine, things that you sort of think are fantastic, or you're an inventor, you're new on that kind of level. But what you don't realize is that what you're actually doing is prophecy. And it's because you have this very deep knowledge. I think that many people who've come to this reading, you've done a lot in the esoteric and the occult in the past, in this life or in other lives, and you are oracular. You do have that ability. And it's very interesting to see knowledge and that and imagination, because I think sometimes they get conflated. So if you are someone who sort of writes, you may write things and then find they come true, that kind of thing. And I know, and I've said this a number of times on my channel, because it always struck me as being very wise. I remember hearing a high magician talking about when people talk about prophets, and to me prophets are oracles. They see the future. They're not just seeing the future. In fact, more than that, they're seeing the past. They see the patterns in the past, and they can see therefore the future from the patterns in the present. And that takes knowledge. But you may feel, you may not even know that you are like this. You may feel it's all just your imagination. But if you think about it, it could be things like poetry that you've written, short stories. It could be ideas you had, even if you didn't sort of like do anything with them. It could be, inventions and so forth. You will have been ahead of the pack, and there will be real knowledge based on it. And I suspect you're also the sort of people, there's a thing called morphic resonance, where when the new ideas are coming in, and this whole reading is about the new emerging, it's not uncommon for a new idea to come up in a number of places in the world at the same time. That it's not copycatting or anything. It literally is. It's something coming out of the collective unconscious. And I suspect you have a direct connection to the collective unconscious, but you think it's just your imagination. So that's really interesting. The other side of it is that you're not kind of like doing something that's creative, but you really do have a sense of what's coming, and you do know, but you sort of feel like, how do I prove that? How do I ground that in some way? So for some of you, you may have some sort of calling, social cause or political, something like that as well. That's possible. But you may sort of think, well, my knowledge is sort of like, it's more kind of what I can see with my inner knowing. You may be thinking, how do I actually create the qualifications to take it from what seems to be just a natural knowing into something that people will respect. So there could be a process in here for some of you where you're naturally brilliant, say at psychology, but you need to go and get the qualifications so people will respect the knowledge. Because other than that, they might just think you're just making it up. But you really do have this ability. You really do have an oracular ability. So it's probably going to be one of those two things. It's either in a more conventional thing where possibly you're ahead of the pack, but you're going to have to kind of prove it with the knowledge that you can show that's more seen, or it is that you already have this and it's something creative, but you haven't put the pieces together. The knowledge you have of history and of how people operate and so forth with your oracular ability brings about the incredibly, foresight, the foretelling in your sort of imaginative projects. So very, very interesting. So whatever is coming up in you, long-winded way of saying whatever is coming up in you is new and is very on point for the future, even if you don't fully trust that it is at this point. So let's use the tarot and let's ask for a little bit more about the nature of what is arising in you now. Judgment reversed. Death. Oh, wow. Okay. Page of Wands reversed. The Hanged Man. Eight of Cups reversed. This is something deeply karmic. You are truly a prophet. Truly. If you've come to the right reading, and if you think about it, you'll see it. Even if you haven't credited it in yourself, you'll see it. You have a knowledge that you shouldn't have. That's part of what this is. And I feel like the ravens here with the imagination card, they're a bit like psychopomps. And they're also Raven is the first initiatory stage of the Mithraean religion as well too. So I think there's some very ancient knowledge that you have, whether or not you have the formal qualifications or whether or not you credit yourself with it, you really, really do have it. And you really, really are oracular. Like, wow, you see the Akashic records, you see karma, judgment and death together. You see where things are going wrong karmically for yourself and for others. You can see it way ahead of it. It must be really frustrating, actually. I feel like you see something, as I say, whether it's political or in an organisation or around relationships, you see it coming and no one else can see it because everybody's busy sticking their heads in the sand or whatever. It must be really, really frustrating. You're trying to get to decisions, but you're around situations where people don't want to make decisions. And you're trying to sort of create something, I think, that will engender that sense of urgency, because you can see the sense of urgency. You know that in whatever some of this is, there's a bit of time running out or whatever, but you're stuck, like people don't see it. They're stuck in old patterns, emotional patterns or whatever. You're meant to be here to kind of, you're giving a warning, like the raven, like a crow. You're giving a warning in some way. You see what's coming. You're absolutely dead on. But you're around a lot of people that don't want to see it, and they will say, oh, do you have the knowledge or whatever? So it may well be that you need to do sort of something that they will accept so they can hear what you're saying, because you're right, but it really makes me think there is a saying, the prophet is never welcome in their own land. And if you also think about the story of Cassandra, who was a prophetess, she knew exactly what was going to happen in her country and her city, etc., but they just didn't listen. So there's a kind of a frustration here I'm feeling. I'm feeling it for you on behalf of you. But you may also, what may help you is to kind of like move past and sacrifice old emotional patterns as well too. There might be some people who are just not going to get it and just not going to see it, and you almost just have to give that one up. And then work out how can you creatively bring in the people who can see it and who can make the decision. Wow, it's pretty heavy. So let's have a look at, the way that you could manifest this, which I think is, how can you get other people to see what you see? That's what this is really about. Knight of Swords, Temperance reversed, Queen of Wands, Eight of Wands. Okay, creativity is definitely the thing. This is why imagination drew you here. Creativity will literally, with Eight of Wands, set you free. And you are very, very good at this. So if people won't listen to it in a conversation, like say you were having a political conversation with people and you're saying like, anybody could see this is happening and everybody else can't see it's happening, but you know it's true, then it's almost like something creative, a work of imagination. It gets past all the knowledge stuff because you get straight to the core of imagination and you can pass on a lot of knowledge. I mean, it makes me think, not that I know why she wrote the books or anything, but it makes me think of something like J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, because there's an enormous amount of occult knowledge in those books, like whether she knows or whether she just remembered from a past life, I don't know it, but there's an enormous amount there. And so in terms of sort of letting people understand sort of things that were secret and hidden and all that kind of thing in a way that they could accept it, that was a work of genius. So like, I think, there's something about that. It's just an example. I think this is saying you manifest through something creative, something where you can really shine and where your self-actualized self kind of speaks for itself. And you may have to be prepared to have a few battles and be a little bit intemperate about it. Like you need to kind of really, you are right. So it's how you can get this message across. It's not like, oh, well, I'll just, agree to disagree. There's like, you might not be able to head on have the debate, but you do need to take this forward. Like what you have is important. And the Knight of Swords, wants to sort of take the idea forward, really wants action and can be a little bit intemperate. And there's just something in this where that would happen. It's almost like you could be a provocateur or a contrarian, and that might be the way, or a comedian. That might be another way of doing it. But there's something where it's a different way of expressing it that doesn't get into the technicalities of it so that people can argue about qualifications and so forth. It's more creative, so that it is your work and therefore it stands for itself. And then over time it can be seen as prophetic. I'm sure that, George Orwell, when he wrote 1984, or Aldous Huxley with Brave New World, they turned out to be very prophetic works when you look at the world today. But, the power of it was in the creativity. So there's something there. So let's see what unknown thing you'll uncover as you find this sort of creative way to bring in this new way of looking at things. Six of Swords, Three of Pentacles reversed, Knight of Wands. Okay. I think what you're going to uncover is there is an easier way to do this than you've thought. You'll find your passageway through creativity, and it is through creativity. It's saying it over and over and over. But you maybe underestimate even how creative you are and how much you can achieve in that way. You're going to uncover that it's your vision, it's not other people's visions. And it's not, and I don't mean by that nobody will ever agree with you, because I think creatively you can do it, but this is not a crowdsourced thing. You can't go looking for 3 or 4 or 5 other people who agree with you. That's not what's going to do this for you. It's going to be what you create, what you imagine, because only you can do it. Wow. So that's interesting. So what can we get to help you? So the first thing I want to do is get you some spirit teams, so a couple of divine animals and a couple of goddesses or strong feminine archetypes to help you create the new. And I was going with feminine archetypes because of the concept of creation and the new coming in, the new vision. So let's see what animal totems can help you, my wonderful, wild, creative prophet or prophetess. Bull, which is about sacrifice. So there is something, I think you have to sacrifice wanting to lead the whole world in a way, or there's going to be some battles that are not worth doing. But I think the bull also takes you forward with strength for those that matter, to be able to leave behind what isn't going to work and to find the thing that you need to do. And sea turtle, stability. Yeah, I think that sea turtle is here. It's almost like look how it's kind of like enjoying it and just moving with the flow of the creative energy. It's like it's a different way to address this. I feel like you've been trying to have the argument and just trying to get people to see your point of view. But that's not the way to do it. You do it through the creative flow and people will see it. It's a much more easy way for them to do it. And it makes your experience of being around people and all that more stable because you're not in constant frustration about it. There's a lot of frustration in this energy and I get it because you're not wrong, Paul, too. Okay, so let's get you a couple of female goddesses or archetypes as well. Atargatus. Oh, that's interesting. So she's obviously a mermaid because it talks about mermagic and deep diving and transformation. I'm not really too familiar with her, but I don't feel for the purposes of this I need to become too familiar because I think it connects with the sea turtle. I think it's this idea of going with the flow in a different way, not pushing. It's not pushing against the block, it's finding the flow around it. And if you think about it with water over time, it wins. Water over rocks, it smooths the rocks, it changes the rocks. It just does it slowly and imperceptibly. And I think this is what creative things can do. So she's here, I think, to give you that kind of flow and to let transformation occur in a way that works rather than, feeling stuck as I think you have been. And we have Pachamama. So she's all about caring about the earth. So some of you may well, and nature and so forth, some of this may be around what you feel about the environment, about the earth, about what matters there. And if that's the case, I mean, because it could also be getting you back to your nature, your responsibility, what you want to create and really doing it as opposed to just being in the battle, but actually winning the battle by the creativity. But whatever it is, if this is environmental to you, think about it like that is one of the most contentious areas and one of the most power-based areas that you could come across. But creative work and inspiration and things that are different, that really makes a difference. Okay, so let's have a look what the stars can say to guide you. Because I do think what you're doing is important, because I think you're right. And I think it's very hard. We're in such a bifurcated, such a conflict-based world now, and media is so echo chambered and all that's very, very hard for someone like you, I think. But creativity, I think, could cut through it in some way. Imagination could cut through it. So let's see what the stars have to say. North Node, yeah, you're following your destiny. And like as I say, all that sort of stuff, the oracular stuff about judgment and death, you are very much aligned with the Akashic record, I have to say. We have Virgo. This is kind of grounding it in a way. This is the doing rather than the arguing. Like it's in the things that you produce, the things that you plan and so forth, that you can actually start to have the impact. And the celestial body that's connected to Virgo is Mercury, which fits with the imagination. I think Mercury might be a powerful God energy for you and powerful in your chart. And Neptune, yeah, and the psychic stuff. You're the oracle. Don't doubt that. Don't doubt. This is saying it is in your destiny to use your psychic ability and to ground it in some way. So don't doubt that. So speaking of grounding, to finish off the reading, I want to do two things. I want to draw a couple of cards from the Earth Power deck to look at places that might have energy that's similar to what you're trying to bring into being. And then I want to use a archetype from the Rose Oracle, the Oracle of the Roses, to see what you could manifest as a result of this as an archetype for yourself. So firstly, a couple of sort of earth places that might resonate to what it is that you are trying to bring in. Firstly, we have the Valley of the Kings. So Egypt, yeah, ancient knowledge, all right. And we also have... Oh, this is interesting. This came up for another one, my favourite place. So Valley of the Kings, I think, is pointing to the ancient knowledge that you have. This goes back a long way in other lives and so forth. But the energy around it says death is transformation. Death is death, transformation, judgment, the Akashic record. This is all about transforming something fundamental. But you're ahead of the pack. You're so ahead of the pack. Though ironically, it's because you can see what history is repeating, or, as I think Mark Twain said, it doesn't repeat, it rhymes. You see that. So death is transformation is a natural part of life. There are consequences to all actions, no matter how small. This is what you see. You see this. Other people think, oh, it's just this or it's just that, or don't be a conspiracy theorist or whatever it might be. But the reality is you see it, and this is the knowledge. What I felt last time for this, and I'm feeling the same for this, is my favorite place, I think, says that this is not location based. I think because it's through the imagining and creativity, you could do it anywhere. And I think there's something about when you get into the flow of this and when you're able to really express it in a way that it can be heard, any place you could be your favorite place. Your favorite place will be where you can actually be the oracle and people will see it. So it's sort of like following this new thing that you're trying to have emerge and you're trying to create, that will create for you where you most want to be at any given time. So last but not least, let's just get you a archetype card about what you manifest as a result of all of this. The gardener. Now that's interesting with Pachamama. I feel like the gardener is about being able to sort of make something that's sustainable and beautiful. So there is definitely, for some of you, this is about environmental or, love for the earth type of issues, definitely. But when it's not as literal as that, I think this is that you start to prepare something beautiful that can be nourishing and supporting, rather than being kind of like in the sort of darker sort of energy that you're trying to sort of like make people see, so that we don't end up killing off the garden, killing off the food sources, killing off all of those sort of things. There's something very nurturing and very, very beneficial about what you bring. And if you think about it, it makes sense too. A gardener, in a way, or a farmer, they see the seasons coming, they understand the cycles, they learn a lot about what has happened before so that they can plan for what is coming. It's a good metaphor for what you're doing on some other space. So I think you become that nurturing energy. So I said this about another one, and I'm feeling it might be the case about all of these. The world needs you, and I wish the world would listen, to be frank, but I think there will be a way for you to be heard. So more power to you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. And if you are one of the people who come here who like the deck, if you like the look of this beautiful, beautiful deck, then the details, as I say, for the Kickstarter, if you're interested in backing it, are in the description box below. But for now, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading that had the root, and this may have been what drew you there, or something else might have. But as I said, I feel the root to me speaks of like what is really core to you. And the thing that's fascinating is that one of the extra cards that you got with this is Ascension. So it's almost the most physical, the most core, and then there's the most upper realms. It feels like, and this card makes me think of the tree of life. And so I feel like this is from Malkuth to Keter. I feel like, and with fate, you are now moving into some form of ascension, destiny, definite destiny around who you're meant to be in the world, and potentially helping others around ascension. What is arising in you is a kind of a marriage of heaven and earth, if that makes sense. Like earth and heaven, there's something in that, and there's fate. You're here for a reason, Pile 3. I think that in whatever way this plays out, and whether it's creative as a new vision, whether it's a new love that sort of like, sort of helps the sort of vibrational consciousness of the world, or the universe, or whatever. I don't know. There's something here that goes from the very core of you to what your elevated spirit wants, but there's a destiny associated with it, which I think is probably emblematic for others. You're very much, whatever's arising in you is very much connected to a core spiritual pathway for you. And this is not the sort of energy that will come up if it's the first time that you're doing this. This is, I say, from in Kabbalistic terms, from Malkuth to Keter, Keter to Malkuth. It's all of it. And fate, it's interesting, fate here in the way that it's portrayed. It makes me think in the Kabbalah there's a 11th Sephiroth, which is called Da'at, which is called the invisible Sephiroth, and it is where you have the life review. So I almost feel here that there's something, it's something almost that you knew before you were born. It's got to do with past lives. It's something you've come in to do, and it's something that you kind of reviewed at that point. This could be, for some of you, this could be your last incarnation, actually. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. Because this is profound, whatever it is. It's very, very, very spiritual. And you may manifest it in some sort of way in a relationship or in, a creative project or a work, but I think for most this is a very, very, very spiritual thing. So let's get a little bit more detail. Let's ask from the tarot the nature of the new that is arising in you. Eight of Cups reversed. Six of Wands. Seven of Swords reversed. Page of Cups reversed. 10 of Cups reversed. So the first thing I thought when I saw Seven of Swords reversed there is things are getting real. Like you're at the cutting edge of something. Which I think makes sense in a way if you think about it with ascension. It doesn't sort of happen without getting real. There's a lot of shadow work I think that you are doing. A lot of coming to terms with who you are within the cosmos, in whatever that means. And that could be something very glorified or it could be something very humble. You know, it's spiritually strong, but that could be anything. You know, it's like Confucius says, you know, before enlightenment chop wood, after enlightenment chop wood. It doesn't have to be that you become a massive spiritual leader. Your energy is having some sort of impact on others, but it's also having an impact on your fate. And there's a lot of karma around this, and things are getting real. Things are getting real. I think you will be recognized for whatever this is. So you probably will have followers. So this is why you're being called upon now to think about what is right at the core of you, right to the ascension. It's like you're almost being asked to go through every element, so with the Tree of Life or some spiritual tradition. It doesn't really matter what spiritual tradition it is, from the core of the material to the manifestation in the divine. Like, what does that mean to you? What is your mystical path? Whatever it is, you're being asked to look at that and to be really, really honest about it, because you are going to be seen, I think, for something. There is recognition. There is victory around it. And you've got to, because if you haven't cleared out everything and you aren't really honest with yourself, then the fate that you bring to yourself and the next time you're in the life review won't go as well, I think, as it did last time. So this is a really big test. It's saying get real with what you believe. Let go of emotional patterns that aren't working for you and actually work out what ones will, because at the Page of Cups reversed, it's almost as though you've been so focused on the sort of spiritual, you've almost lost touch with the heart. And some people might think that's a really weird thing to say, because a lot of people sort of say that spirituality is all in the heart, but I don't think it always is. Like, for some people, it's not. It's like a intellectual exercise or an action exercise, or there's almost such a detachment from all of the elements that even the heart, that its spirit is almost separate to all, earth, fire, air, and water. And I think, there's a reason in the pentagram that they're all there. So there is something here with the Page of Cups that you need to define. You aren't defining at the moment. You need to define what your heart feels about all of this, because you've been hurt in some way. And you may even, as I say, this is a test. You may even have suffered a loss emotionally, a lover, broken family, something like that. And there's that thing that says, I think it's Jung, it says something like, and somebody actually gave me the quote because I mentioned this before and I've forgotten it again, but it's something like, until you work out your unconscious, you will keep living it out and think it's fate. So you're so close, pile 3, but there's a lot of work to do. It's like, just in that last bit of the marathon, that's when you need the second win. That's when you really need to get real. Like, wow. Okay, so let's ask, how can you manifest this? How can you do it? This is like, I feel this like a very powerful energy, but it's not easy, but it's very, very powerful. How can you best manifest this? Strength, the world, my goodness. Two of Pentacles reversed, Page of Pentacles reversed. Okay, all right. This isn't your first rodeo. It really isn't. Like, you wouldn't have this energy if it was. But you do, as I said already, need to kind of like work out what this means to your heart. You need to understand your own strength, because it is considerable, and I don't know that you fully see that. So I think you need to understand your own strength, and you need to understand there's something culminating here. There really is something culminating. This is why I feel like some of you, this might be your last incarnation before full ascension. Really powerful, but you need to understand that, and this is your time to plant your legacy. I think this is what this is saying. and you're not doing that at the moment. You're not thinking of that at the moment, Pother. You're either not really fully, living in the pain, working out what that is, getting real, and taking this forward, or you're feeling you're doing it all on a kind of esoteric level. It's not grounded within you. You need to ground it within you. There are some choices, material choices you need to make to get real and to do this, and you need the business plan in a way, and it doesn't have to literally be a business plan, but I always think Page of Pentacles reverse, I always feel like saying make the business plan. What is your legacy? What if this was, like, I'd ask you to entertain this as a concept, even if it seems bizarre. If this was your last incarnation on earth and you had a chance to be recognized for your legacy, what would you want your legacy to be? I would ask you to think about that, because I think this is what this energy is trying to talk about. Maybe you'll end up coming back and you'll teach people. Like I can't say it absolutely is the last one, but there's a sense of closure around this. It's like this is the opportunity to really, really turbocharge this. Okay, so let's ask what you don't know, but you'll uncover if you do this. Eight of Swords reversed. Six of Pentacles, Five of Cups. Okay. You're going to uncover that you can liberate your own mind much more than you think, for a start. You may have boxed yourself in a bit with what you believe and so forth, but you're going to find that liberation, ascension is possible. You're also going to find that you have a core generosity of spirit, which is one of the reasons why this is happening, but you maybe don't even sort of think about it. It's kind of, in grounding this, you're going to give so much. You're going to be a benefactor to others. You don't expect that, but you are going to be. And you're going to heal a lot of hurt by doing that in yourself, but I think you're also going to help other people heal hurt and move forward. It's like being an example in some way. So yeah, you have a benefactor role ultimately, but it comes from this very profound spiritual thing. I knew using this deck was going to be profound. It's like, it's such a powerful deck, and the readings are really powerful, and I think that's why, but this is very, very spiritually powerful. So let's get you some spiritual help. Let's get you a couple of divine animals, and let's also get you some female goddesses or feminine archetypes, and I'm using the latter and feminine because of the creative energy about the new vision that this reading is about. But let's get you a couple of divine animals, power animals for you in this quest, I guess you might call it. Peacock, prosperity. So the interesting thing about this is, I think you almost think that you are a spiritual being rather than a material being, but interesting enough, I think you will be recognized, and you are probably likely to make money. You are likely to make a legacy, but you're meant to do that. Like that's part of this, because it becomes an example or something, and it leaves a legacy. So I keep feeling it leaves a legacy. The other thing about peacock, I always feel when I see it, is alchemically it's very profound. It is the stage after the sort of burning out of the constituent elements, and then at grado, the first thing that is seen is the iridescent colours of the peacock. That's why they call it the peacock. So this is, again, a concept of ascension. It's, again, the peacock is here to confirm that you are on the brink of kind of like the great work. Okay. And another one. Sacred ibis, learning. So there's still probably some learning to do. I think it's learning about yourself, to be honest, going in, as I say, getting real. But there could be certain types of learning that would help you, certain types of, like, if you aren't already in some sort of occult or spiritual tradition, it might actually help you to be in one, because I think you're going to think, oh, I remember that, but the learning might unlock that for you. Let's get a couple of goddess energies for you as well. I also think too, like, it's like the doorway's opening. The ascension pathway is opening. Okay. The priestess. Oh, what a surprise. This card in this deck is, somebody who is developed, who is psychic. This is your journey. Initiation, activation. Yeah, there's something significant. As I say, if it's not your last incarnation, there's still something significant. This is a significant time in your life, and probably a significant life for the activation and initiation of your spiritual path and that next level. And there is a legacy. There's something real that you're going to create to leave behind as a result. And Sulis Minerva, who I think came up for one of the others. So some of you may have gone to a couple. So she's all about life, nourishment, water, sort of like the kind of nourishment and the sort of emotional thing. So there's something about emotional nourishment for you. There's something about getting over heartache of your own or helping other people get over heartache. But it's the life force. It's the life force, you know. So this is the root, the life force, what nourishes at that level, and then this is what it's operating. She is at the root. She is helping you nourish the life force and the emotional force for this part of it. And then the priestess is connecting you to your higher self and to the ascension pathway. Sacred ibis is nourishing what you need to know for your legacy. Peacock is connecting you to the ascension path. That makes sense. Okay, let's see what the stars can give you to guide your path. Saturn, Saturn is, karma, it is fate, it is the powers of the world, it is time. You're very old souls, I'd have to say. You've been around the block a few times, I've got to say, spiritually speaking. But there's a really profound connection at this point, and this is getting to that sort of wisdom and so forth. And the phrase here, I achieve. There's something. You spiritually are going to achieve something, but you have to be really real with yourself. Otherwise, there's always possibility that you miss out on doing it. But you really do. If you have that discipline, anything's possible. Sagittarius, and it's about freedom, the freedom of the movement that is spiritual and so forth. Once you've actually done the work, have the discipline, do the work, then you get the freedom. And the 8th house, it's occult. You're occult through and through. High magic, something like that. Mystery schools. And it's intense, it's Scorpionic. It's a very Scorpionic energy, this whole thing. You don't have to be Scorpio, but the energy of Scorpio, if you know what I'm talking, the energy of the 8th house. It's transformative. It's it is kind of the ascension pathway. And it's a bit mysterious. Okay, so how I want to finish off is I'm using a deck that has sacred places on earth, because I'm looking for not necessarily places that you have to go to and travel to, though you may want to, or you may live there already, or you might have traveled or whatever, but it's more the energy of the place to ground this. And this it's particularly important, I think, for you. This is the grounding energy, where you do this. And then we're going to use a final card from the Oracle of the Roses for an archetype that you can manifest as a result of this new vision. So firstly, a couple of places. Firstly, we have Obsidian Walls, Yellowstone. So that's America. I'm pretty sure. I'm not very good at geography, so I might double check that, but I'm pretty sure Yellowstone would be the American Yellowstone. And we have Troy. Wow, Troy. Okay, so I'm just going to check Obsidian Walls, Yellowstone. Yes, it is. It's almost unusual for me to get geography right. My mother used to always say that if you play Trivial Pursuit with me, you could be very happy whenever a geography question came up for me, because my answer would be creative but not necessarily accurate. But anyway, we've got Obsidian Walls, Yellowstone, so in America, and we've got Troy. So I think Troy would be in Greece. I just checked that. No, this is the point. Turkey, not Greece. So there you go. That just proved my point about geography with me. But that's not really the point, though. Those places may be places that are great for you in getting knowledge and in doing this and in leaving your legacy. Certainly if either of those resonate. But we're looking more at the energy. So for Obsidian Walls, Yellowstone, it says, I am protected. I am able to protect. I am reliably able to rid myself of negative energy. So yes, if you commit to this and you do the discipline and you get real, the only thing that can come is healing and ascension. It may feel a little bit scary to do it, but you're able to do it, and you have very, very strong spiritual protection around you. And then for Troy, it says, to exchange my gifts with the world is a positive act. Yes, I think you have a legacy to leave. Teamwork is necessary. Whilst I can learn from the stories of others, I can create my own mythos. Yeah, your own legacy. Beauty is eternal. Revenge has consequences. So yeah, I mean, look, there could be karmic stuff in all of this, and you need to kind of clear that energy and get real and work out what is it that you would want to ascend with, and what, as I say, is your legacy. And I do think it will help other people. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to get a archetype from the Oracle of the Roses for what you could manifest as a result of this. It's very profound, as I say, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. The Mother. Okay, so this could literally be, you know, being a parent. It doesn't necessarily have to be about, you know, sort of gender. And leaving a legacy that way, a family legacy, that you ascend having done that and having protected and nurtured others. But it could also be the mother of something that, as I say, is a material thing, the creator of something. The mother is the great creator. So I think there is something you are meant to manifest out of this. And I think if anything, it's all been a bit theoretic and all been a bit sort of spiritual and detached for you, but you are meant to now do the connection from the root, as they say, from Malkuth, from the earth through to Keter, the ascension. And you are meant to really process a lot around this. This is a destined thing because there's something you're meant to be the parent to, really. And for some of you, it may literally be to a child. I don't know. That's possible, if that resonates for you. But it is profound. So I hope that resonates. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd be fascinated to hear about this. But beyond that, I hope you enjoyed the reading and enjoyed seeing this beautiful new deck. And if you are interested in checking it out, as I say, the details are in the Kickstarter. Oh, the details of the Kickstarter are in the description box below. But other than that, I hope to see you in future readings.